Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anko Giemstra from Gerardus Vanderleeuw, and I'm here with. Maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit.
Yes, thank you very much, Anke. So my name is Hassan Taher. I'm the chairman of the board of Islamitische Studentenvereniging Deen, which is an Islamic student association in Groningen. And first, I would like to start with praising God Almighty for everything. All praise belongs to Him, and blessings and peace be upon the prophets and the messengers from Adam, Noah, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, all of them, and all the prophets in between. Second of all, I would wish to thank the board of Gerardus Vanderleeuw for inviting us, the Islamic Student Association Dean, and to this great podcast series. This is actually the first time I attend a podcast, and this one is in English as well. So please help me out when I get stuck on a particular word or when I can't find a suitable English translation for it. And lastly, I would like to thank the audience for tuning in and giving us their precious time. It's actually an honor to tell you about the Ramadan and the experience of Muslims in general. So, Anke, yeah, what would you like to know?
Yeah, thank you. I would like to say we can help each other out. It's my first podcast as well, and I think we'll be fine helping each other out and talking about the Ramadan. Indeed, the month of Ramadan is almost over. Actually, it's the last day today, if I'm correct.
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct.
How have you experienced the Ramadan this year? Can you tell us
Oh,
something
yes,
about it?
of course. Yeah, well, this year was, of course, different from other years because, of course, there was COVID and there are quite a number of measurements you have to obey, and which makes the experience in the Ramadan a bit different than previous years. For example, this year was a lot less social, so people could not go visit other people. Um, so this Ramadan was really about you, yourself, and your relationship with God. So there was less of the social aspect, but more of the spiritual aspect, I would say. And for me, that actually had quite a positive impact. It
Okay.
actually meant that I had less distraction because I had a lot of time. Everybody's at home, which also means that the fasting is a lot easier
Yeah.
because you do not have to go and catch a train and then catch a bus and go to work, go to study. All those things can be done from home.
Yeah.
So overall, it was quite positive. I feel like I actually have recharged this month, and that's really nice. And I hope to tell a lot more about it.
I hope so too. That's so good to hear. I can imagine it is different because you don't see a lot of people, but at the same time, it has enhanced your focus and your relationship with God. So, yeah, that's very good to hear. And thank you for sharing your personal experience. Yeah, maybe we can start off for the people who don't know a lot about Ramadan. Can you tell us just the basis of what Ramadan exactly is and what does it mean?
Yeah, of course. So Ramadan uh, is an Arabic name of the
Yeah.
ninth month of the moon calendar. So the moon calendar consists of 12 months,
Yeah.
and Ramadan is the ninth one, and it's the holy month of fasting. And it begins and ends with the appearance of the crescent moon, which is like a really thin image of the moon
Ah.
that you can
Mm-hmm.
see in the sky. When that appears in the sky, then Muslims start fasting. And after approximately 29 or 30 days, the crescent moon will be visible again. So it goes from a crescent to full moon and then to a new moon, crescent moon again.
Yeah.
And because the moon calendar, or actually the moon calendar year is shorter than the sun calendar year, Ramadan begins 10 to 12 days earlier each year. So that means that within a cycle of 33 years, Ramadan tends to move a bit every single year. So in 33 years, it falls in summer, then it goes back through all the seasons, and then comes back to summer again. So it isn't a particular month like in May it's Ramadan, and that's every year like that. No, it actually moves around through the year because the Southern calendar is a bit longer.
Yeah.
And this year, the Ramadan lasted or began actually Tuesday or Wednesday, and it depends on where you live in the world, because the appearance of the moon is different in particular sections of the world at a particular evening, and it ends, or actually today or tomorrow, and it depends on when you started, of course.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's very clear. Thank you for explaining. Do you have like a favorite season or a season that you think, yeah, I like? It's easier or more fun to celebrate the Ramadan in this season, or is there no distinction in that for you?
Of course, everybody has a personal preference. A lot of people tend to have a they tend to favor a particular season. A lot of people say winter because the day is shorter, so you have to fast less. I actually do not mind, because the variation makes it so interesting, I think, because unlike for example, Christmas, which is always at this on the same date, but it differs across the world, of course, because when it's winter here in the Netherlands, it's summer in Australia, for example. So they have a really different experience of Christmas, and this is, well, it doesn't change except only when you travel to a different part of the world. But when you have the Ramadan, it actually moves throughout the year, so you get to experience all the seasons.
And moves for everyone.
And I really like that. So that's nice.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a different experience maybe each year, but it has different pros. Yeah, different aspects. Easier. Okay. And as I think most people know that Ramadan is mainly known for the period of fasting. That's what it is. Can you explain why there is fasting? Why do Muslims fast during Ramadan? What's the idea behind it?
Yeah. So just like you said, Ramadan is a period of fasting, and Ramadan is the time for Muslims to practice self-refrain and discipline, and it means that well, actually, the Arabic word for fasting, sawm, it means to refrain from something. And fasting is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. The first one is the testimony of believing in one God. Second one is praying. Third one is paying zakat, which is the money for the poor and needy people. And fourth is the performance of, or performing the pilgrimage to Mecca, which is also known as the Hajj. And 5, of course, is fasting. So Muslims fast because it's obligated upon Muslims. And what are the wisdoms behind it? Most of the time, when people think of fasting, people tend to understand it as the obligation to fast from food during Ramadan. But it's actually more broadly interpreted as the obligation between dawn, which is before sunrise, and dusk, which is after sunset. The obligation to refrain from food, drink, and intimacy with your partner, and also all kinds of forms of behavior that's not that positive or even immoral behavior, including false words or lying or bad deeds or hurting people, those kind of things. They're not allowed outside of Ramadan, but even heavier during the Ramadan. And of course, when you fast, you get in a particular state of mind. You get a mindset that makes it easier for you to behave at your best version, at your best. So the fasting helps you to develop your character, to develop your morals, to develop your relationships with people, because of course you're on earth, and you have things you have to do. You have to go to school, you have to go to work, you have to take care of people you care about. And during the month of Ramadan, it's a month of reflection and contemplation, and really thinking about what is important in my life, and do I actually give it the time and energy that it needs. For example, is my relationship with my father or my mother or my brothers and sisters or with my colleagues, are they at optimum level? If not, what is missing? And during the Ramadan, you can think about it and improve yourself. Maybe you tend to be quite easily frustrated or irritated when someone makes a remark. But during the Ramadan, you can think about what maybe this person makes this remark because he doesn't know it's hurtful, or this person has his own personal circumstances. So you have to take that in consideration too. And because you're fasting, you constantly are kind of looking at your own actions, and really aware of here and now, and also of later, because you Muslims tend to work in this world to have something, to build something for the next world, for the hereafter. As Muslims believe there is life after death. And because there is life after death, there is something you can work towards. And a lot of people tend to, for example, write their goals down. For example, this Ramadan, I would like to improve my anger management, for example, or I would like to improve the way I speak to people. Maybe I'm quite direct, and maybe I can soften it up. Or maybe this Ramadan, I want to tell people I care about them, or actually tell people I love them, because I don't say it enough. And this is the human aspect, the social aspect. And another aspect, and even another aspect, is the relationship with God, because during throughout the year you're so busy with school and work and family and all kinds of obligations, that you sometimes don't give the amount of time and love to the creator of the worlds, which he deserves, of course. And during the Ramadan, Muslims tend to improve their relationship with God by, for example, reading the Holy Book, reading about our religion, reading about who is God and why am I here and what should I do and what should I work towards and what is good and what is bad. So um, those kind of things are in the territory of reflection and improvement of character and one's spirituality and relationship with God, of course. So that's
okay. If I understand correctly, I really like the message behind, or the idea behind it. It's a beautiful message, I think. And if you understand correctly, it's kind of, you say that you have to refrain from food and intimacy, and this enables you to focus on your relationships, in the real world with the people around you and with God as well, to focus on that more. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Well, that's that's really beautiful, I think, and it's always good to try and improve yourself and think about how you could be better for the people around you and for yourself, of course. So that makes sense a lot. Yeah. I was wondering if everyone needs to fast, or I can imagine that maybe pregnant women or young children don't have to fast. Are there rules regarding this?
Yes. So like you said, not all Muslims are required to fast. people who have chronic diseases or even temporary diseases, and women who are pregnant, or children, or elderly people, they are usually not required to fast if the fasting has negative effects on their own health or on the health of the children or the fetus in the womb. So these kind of exemptions do exist, and also people who are traveling, they are also exempted from fasting. So when you have to go to a different part of the world, we all know that traveling is quite hard. You get really exhausted very fast. So they are allowed to do not fast.
That's fast. Okay. And I think a common question that is asked a lot and maybe gets annoying for you, but I'm not sure you can tell us about that. A lot of people ask if you can drink water, and I think it's not allowed either during the day. But can you tell us something about why this question is asked very often and what you think about that?
Yes, of course. So this question gets asked every single year, and it's not annoying. It just shows that we haven't informed people enough. So so for the people who are watching, drinking water during Ramadan, during fasting, is not allowed, and not even a sip, not a small amount, not a big amount, because when you're fasting, um, you have to show some discipline, some self-refrain, and we are so used to, okay, whenever I want to drink something, I can drink it. It's there. The tap water is always available. It's always clean. The Netherlands has one of the best quality waters from the tap. A lot of countries, even within Europe, they cannot drink water from the tap. So it already shows that's quite a blessing. And even or this is within Europe, but when you look further away, outside of Europe, there are countries where people do not have tap water. Actually, they do not have water at all. And the small amount of water they have is either really dirty, full of bacteria, full of all kinds of diseases, and that's their water. And they have not seen water that's clear in their life. So these people, they cannot drink whenever they want. And there's an interesting story about a king, a French king, and who was sitting in his palace, and the people outside, they were protesting, and the daughter of the king said, "Father, why are the people screaming outside?" And the king said, "They are screaming because they do not have bread. They do not have bread." And the daughter said, "Well, if they do not have bread, let them just eat cake." And the moral of the story is, because the daughter of the king has never seen poverty before, she thinks that whenever there's no bread, you can just eat something else. When there's no water, just drink something else. But a lot of people do not have this opportunity. So one of the wisdoms of fasting and not drinking water is to feel what poor people are feeling, and feel empathy, and being actually grateful that there is water, which we take for granted always, all the time.
Yeah, really appreciation of what you have and the blessings you have. And I think that's really interesting because I knew water was not allowed, but I didn't know why. And the way you tell this, it actually makes sense. And it's when people understand this, I think the question will not be asked as often anymore. But it's good to know. I was curious, have you experienced any difficulties? Are you tempted sometimes during the day to, and whenever maybe your throat hurts or you want to drink something or eat something, how hard is it for you, maybe in one day different than the other, to actually refrain from eating? Is it hard sometimes?
Well, I wouldn't be honest if I said it's easy. Of course, it's a challenge, and people need to, if there's a goal, you have to work for it, and the goal is to fast the whole day. And if it was easy, then you wouldn't have the amount of what's the word I'm searching for? You wouldn't realize the blessings that much, because when something is hard to get, hard to attain, then you appreciate it more. So the same thing goes for fasting as well. When you work during the day, or even when you study, you're just using your brain. But as we know, 20% of the glucose and the oxygen goes directly to the brain. So after a study session, we tend we want to eat something, but during fasting you can't. And this is quite challenging, of course. And of course, I have moments in which I would really like to just have a sip of water. I do not want to have a really expensive drink or a really tasteful drink. Just water would be enough. And this also shows that even water can be such a blessing. And sometimes when I have to go outside and do work, or I have to drive all day, or have meetings all day, I really tend to get hungry. And I really would like to have a really tasty doner kebab. That would be, I wouldn't say, I would say no, of course, but I would like to have it at that moment.
Yeah.
But the thing is, during your fasting, you get hungry and thirsty really easily. And especially when you have to do groceries, you get into the supermarket and everything seems tasteful. Even the things you never see in the supermarket, they tend to be 10 times more delicious. Yes, yes. And you always tend to buy more than you actually need. So it's really a struggle of finding out, am I really that hungry? Do I really need it? Or is it just my hunger guiding me through the supermarket? So yes, it is hard sometimes, but it's part of it, and it makes it more of a challenge, and it makes you contemplate and be grateful even more.
Yeah, so maybe it contributes to what you get out of the month of fasting even more, because it's harder. So
Yes.
it sucks maybe, but it's also good. In the end, it's worth it. So
it's in the end certainly worth it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that maybe brings us also to the question of, you've now almost finished the month of Ramadan, and a lot of people are quite impressed when they hear that someone is fasting a month. Some people might even say, "Oh, congratulations on the how do you say it, performance you have delivered," or something like that. Would you say it's possible to congratulate someone with completing the month of Ramadan, or is this something that's not really done?
Actually, when you start the Ramadan, people, Muslims tend to congratulate each other with reaching the Ramadan, not even finishing it. And they tend to say Ramadan Mubarak, which means have a blessed Ramadan. They can say Ramadan Kareem, which means well, may it be a month full of generosity, something like that. And when the Ramadan is finished, there is a day of celebration, which is called Eid. And Eid, you can say Eid Mubarak, which means like have a blessed Eid, have a blessed celebration, day of celebration. And so whenever you see a Muslim, and well, not whenever you see one, but whenever you have a friend who is a Muslim and you want to celebrate him with Ramadan, you can just say Ramadan Mubarak. And if it's if the Ramadan is finished and it's the day of Eid, then you can say Eid Mubarak. So I think these two sentences, they're not long, so maybe you have to practice it 1 or 2 times, and then you can say them
you can say
like a native person.
Yeah,
But,
I will try.
but that's right. And of course, you can just say, have a nice Ramadan, have a nice day of celebration with your family. All of it is good. Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem at all.
Okay. That's great to hear. I have learned a lot already, and I hope the listeners who are going to be tuning in will learn a lot about Ramadan as well, and maybe have a deeper understanding of what it actually means to celebrate the period of Ramadan. I wanted to ask you if there's anything you want to share about Ramadan that has not been talked about today yet, or if there's any questions you have further.
Yes, I would like to tell you about something that is also quite characteristic for the month of Ramadan, which is the Iftar. The Iftar is the moment of breaking the fast. So Muslims tend to fast from dawn, which is before sunrise, up until sunset. And after sunset, Muslims start with doing supplications, with saying grace, then eat a date, which is a sweet fruit, and then have some water or some sweetened milk. And then either they have a small amount of food first and then go pray, or they start praying immediately. But the thing I want to emphasize is that the moment of iftar is a moment um, of of of, uh, of coming together with friends and family, and share a moment of joy and a moment of love, and also share delicious food. And most people tend to think that whenever you're fasting for example 17 hours, which is a lot,
Mm-hmm.
they think that when you see food you can eat the whole table,
Yeah.
with everything on the table. You can just absorb it as if it's air, but it's not like that, because when you fast, your body actually comes in a state of rest and state of detox, and you discover that you do not really need the amount of food that you usually eat.
Yeah.
Actually, when you break your fast during the Ramadan, you discover that after 3 or 4 spoons you're already full.
Mm.
And that's a really fun thing to discover.
Yeah.
And also what's really fun to discover, that most of the times you don't taste water, but when you have fasted for 15, 16, 17 hours, water tends to have a taste, a quite sweet
Okay.
taste actually. And
Uh-huh.
it's so refreshing, and it makes other fizzy drinks like cola or something like that too sweet for your taste. While there are Muslims who tend to eat a lot of drink a lot of cola and eat a lot of deep fried stuff, I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend, because it's really heavy on the stomach.
Mm.
But we really discovered that um, the moment you share with people is about the moment and the people. It's not really about the food actually,
Mm.
because the food it's such a small amount.
Yeah.
So I want to give the audience who is listening right now the notion that Ramadan is not about food. It's not even that important actually. Of course, it's an obligation to refrain from food and drink, but the whole package isn't mentioned as much as it needs to be, I think, because it's much more than that, and
Yeah.
it's about discovering yourself, uh, re-energizing the relationships with the people you care about, and to strengthen your bond uh, with your Lord.
Well, I think that's great. And if you hear it like this, I would say it would be good for everyone to to feel what it's like to have a period like this, to have a renewed focus on your life and what you're doing and the people around you and your faith, your God, and for those who do believe also. And I think it's really interesting, and I really respect that as well. Yeah, I found it really interesting that you told us all about it, and for us to have a deeper understanding about it and maybe even talk about it more or in a more constructive way with Muslim friends or people we know. And yeah, I think it was a really interesting, enjoyable conversation, and I hope you experienced it the same way.
Yes, thank you very much for this interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it as well. And
Yeah,
I hope the people at home who are listening this podcast also enjoyed it and learned a thing or two. And I just wanted to share a small thing as well. During the Ramadan, our student association, Islamitische Studentenvereniging Deen, we host two iftars. And the iftars are meant for Muslims and also non-Muslims. For people who want to fast or don't fast, it doesn't matter. You can just join and enjoy delicious food. Of course, nobody says no to delicious food,
no,
but
yeah,
also to experience the joy that people are experiencing. And I also know that the Forum in Groningen, they also hosted an iftar with 75 people, and
okay,
they differ from being Muslim and non-Muslim, Christians, atheists, all different countries from let's say America up until China. Everybody was there, and these kind of things do happen in Groningen as well. But you have to know about it, and if you want to know about it, please check our Facebook page of I.S.V Deen, so I.S.V Deen, and you can learn more about it and maybe see an iftar. And we hope
yeah.
to organize more iftar in the future when we can do together again.
Yeah, that would be so nice, and maybe yeah, it would be nice for us to join and see each other as well. And I think we can put in the description the links to your Facebook page for people who want to know more about it. That would be great. And since it's the last day of Ramadan today, I hope I practiced this well enough. But I want to say Eid Mubarak
Thank you
already,
very
and
much.
I want to thank you very much for this conversation.
Same to you, and thank you very much for this opportunity. And I really wish you a great day, and I hope to speak to you again. And uh, I hope you're doing well.
Thank you. I hope so too. Same for you, and yeah, hopefully till soon.
Hopefully, till soon.